Hey gang, Ted Gravelin with today's TEDcast, and what I wanted to focus on today were what I'm going to call common complaints that business owners have about why they may be struggling, why they may not be as successful as they want, or the things that they're always kind of like worried about or spending more time on than they'd like to. And I came up with 4 of them. There's probably more, but these come up a lot. And so first common complaint is customers. So there's a couple of complaints about customers. Sometimes it's, hey, I need to find more customers, I need more leads, I need more calls, I need more whatever. Sometimes I don't have the customers I like. I've got these lowball ones. I've got way too many warranty company customers, instead of just my own. I've got lots of things like that. So customers are a big complaint. And so what do you do about it? Got to do marketing. And in order to do marketing, you have to have a message and some ad copy and a budget and things like that. And it all starts with, though, knowing who your company is, so that your customers would know who they are, who you think you are. And what I mean by that is, think of it like in other businesses, like in the car business. There's a definite marketing difference between, say, mass market companies like Ford, Toyota, Chevy. They're all kind of trying to go to market with a certain image in that. And then there's companies like Ferrari and Porsche and that, and they come up with a completely different marketing process. And for example, using that example, so Ferrari doesn't sit there and lament the fact that, oh my God, our showrooms aren't full to the brim with people. We need more customers. Of course they need customers, but they don't need 300,000 of them. They need like 3,000 of them, because that's how many cars they build. They don't build, that many, and they just have their marketing set in a way that they say, we know who our customer is. They're people who are paying top dollar for a car. They want a high quality, hand-built sports car, blah, blah, blah. They know who that is. So you solve your customer problem with marketing. And you can go the other way. You can say, hey, I want to be a guy who's running lots of customers and need more calls and that. But in order to do that, you have to have a budget and, again, a message and that kind of stuff. So marketing is the solution to that. Employees. We get this one a lot. My employees aren't doing the right thing. I can't find good guys. There's no good guys to find. I promise you, if you're a small company, there's a company in your area that has 50, 100 employees. They did not get lucky 50 times in a row finding a completely qualified guy off the bat. They went out and recruited them. They did not just, randomly steal a good tech from another company. They literally went out and built them from scratch, probably. So the way you get new employees and the way you solve your employee problems with recruiting and training. So, and if you have the wrong employees or guys who aren't good or whatever, it's not necessarily how much you're paying, although it's important, okay? But you have to be able to afford to be able to get good employees. And that can be the time it takes to recruit and train. Can you afford the time? Can you afford the budget? Can you afford to pay them for an hour a day, every day, for months while you train them? Can you afford to pay them the top dollar it's going to take to recruit guys who aren't the problem children of the world out there? They're not, drug addicted, felons, bad DUIs, all the things that give us headaches, right? And we can start to attract people from other industries into our industry. And then again, train them. So it's recruiting and training. So you have to recruit people, then train them. So you have to be able to afford all of that stuff to be able to solve your employee problem. And pretty soon you don't have an employee problem, even with your current employees. If your current employees kind of understand, without threatening them or anything, if they just kind of understand, hey, look, this company is really good to work for. They're really hiring high quality people in that. Some of your worst guys are probably going to be out the door before you know it. So some of the problem children that are out there are going to be, going to find a different place to work. So it solves a lot of your employee problem when you have built a really great company and a really great place to work, and you have to be able to afford to do that. Pay them top dollar, give them benefits, give them time off. Don't work them to death. Don't put them on overtime every single week all year round because you're afraid to hire a new guy, or you can't find a new guy to hire. That kind of thing. So you solve a lot of that issue with a great recruiting and training program. Got time. I got so many business owners that I talk to. Oh my God, I'm working too hard. I haven't got time for this. I am up in the morning. I'm in my office at 5 a.m. I'm getting home at 9 p.m. and I can't figure out how to get time to fix my business or do any of these things that I would like to do to improve it. These phone calls ringing me off the hook. I can't run another call. I got, all these other problems coming up because of time. Because let's face it, there's 168 hours every single week, and you have to spend every minute of it on something. And some people are just working way too hard. So it's kind of, I'm working too hard. I'm kind of lumping that in with that. So the way you solve a time problem is with processes. If you have good processes in your business, you start to solve your time problem, and it also starts leading back around to good processes mean training, recruiting, so you can get some people to plug in and take some of those burdens away from you. So for example, if you're a smallest company, like a one-man show, if you're installing, sales, service, you're running every call, you're answering every phone call on that, well dude, you need to start giving those jobs away to people. So you have to have a process to recruit and train folks and get them going into your business so that you can get your time back so you can spend it on stuff you really want to do. I don't know if you like fishing. I don't know if you want to play with your kids. I don't know if you want to go on a date with somebody if you're single. I don't know what you want to do with your free time. But if you want to get some back, the trick is get processes, start recruiting and training. And processes are not just recruiting and training. It can be things like maybe you're spinning your wheels on some of the things you're doing, and you're wasting time by reinventing the wheel every 5 minutes instead of saying, well, no, this is just how we do it. We have a process for streamlining how customers do interact with us, how we answer our phones, how we book a call, how we run our numbers, all that stuff like that. So process. And then of course money. People are saying, I'm not making as much profit as I'd like, especially if you are one size and you've grown a little bit. I hear this one a lot. I've added a couple of employees, I've added a couple of trucks, and now I'm not making the money I used to make before. A lot of the time, it's because you don't know your numbers or you don't have a good sales process. Back to sales, or back to process rather. So understanding that all of the stuff we're talking about over here that solves all these problems up here, it usually comes down to money. Why don't you have really great marketing and really great customers and everybody you want? Likely, if you're a company who's struggling, because you haven't got enough money to afford it. Can't afford to do marketing because, let's face it, marketing secret, not all marketing works every single time. Let's assume, for the sake of this conversation, that half of the marketing you're going to do ain't going to work. It's going to be a waste of money. Well, can you afford to waste half your marketing dollars on stuff that doesn't work, as long as the other half works? If you're in the process of you don't have enough money to really do it right, and you're saying, I'm going to do marketing, and I have to put $1,000 in, and it better work or I'm in trouble, dude, you haven't got enough money, okay? If that $1,000 is all you got and it has to work, you have a marketing problem that's almost insurmountable, because there's no guarantee that it's going to work in the next week or two that you need it to work. You need to be able to throw a budget at it, which again comes down to money, understanding your numbers, understanding, for example, the number we just talking about, that if half of it ain't gonna work, that's a number to know, and of course you want it to get better than that, but understanding your numbers and understanding your sales process so that you can come up with pricing and sell at those prices and get your customers to love you and build the business that they're gonna wanna pay for that, so that you end up with enough money to afford to hire great employees and run a recruiting campaign and a training program, and you can afford to get time back by doing really good processes. You can afford to spend the money on software. You can afford to do all the things you want to do to improve all of these things. So how do you solve it? If we come up with the solutions over here, I know, because I do this for hundreds of companies, okay? And ultimately, you got to kind of solve it backwards from the list here. You got to start, I always start with numbers and sales. Understanding your numbers, you see me talk about it a lot if you've been watching me on Facebook or on my YouTube channel. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, go find me on YouTube, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell button to get notifications when I post a new one. Go ahead and do that. We always talk about numbers and sales because this is where it starts. If you can't afford this, you can't afford the rest of it. Then we move up. We go to processes. Get your time back. I don't know how many smaller companies I've told something like they hired 3 guys and they're still running around answering a cell phone in their pocket. Dude, get your time back. Hire an office person that's not as expensive as some of these service techs you're looking for, and you'll gain back 20, 30 hours a week of not dealing with bullshit about running the office. Seems dumb, but for some reason, some people think, well, there's not producing income, so I don't want to pay for it. Well, that's where you get your time back. You got to be able to afford it, understanding your numbers, and being able to sell at those numbers. Suddenly, you can do processes, you can afford software, you can afford all kinds of cool new stuff. You can afford to hire employees, you can afford to recruit, do training, you can afford for some of those guys you recruit and train to not work out, because they won't all work out. But again, ask any of the owners that have 25, 50, 100 employees if every guy they hired worked out. There's no way that happened. In order to get 50 employees, they've gone through a couple of hundred of those that came and went and came and went. You just got to accept that fact, be able to afford it, run your numbers, get on the train, and suddenly you can afford marketing. If you have the wrong kind of customers because they're cheapskates, well, I don't think that Ferrari, in our earlier example, has a bunch of people coming in their showroom looking for a $15,000 car. They already know from marketing that those customers are avoiding them. It's on purpose. They do it on purpose. So the fact is, you can attract the customers you want, again, by starting at the bottom and moving up. Hey, we've got great numbers. We know how to sell at those numbers. We have great processes. We're improving our business. Everyone knows this in our marketplace. As we get a better and better reputation for higher and higher quality, suddenly the lower quality customers you don't like are going away. The higher quality ones are attracted to you, and you have a budget to go after more of those, because you can start putting messaging out and hire the marketing companies that can afford for it to not work every single time, but it works enough of the time where it's completely worth the money, okay? So we recruit great employees, all that stuff. So ultimately, that's how you solve all these kind of problems, is starting at the bottom and working up. Numbers, sales, then get your processes in place, start recruiting and training guys, and then finally get your marketing in place. And that's kind of the order that you think about it, but that doesn't mean that you have to wait, for example, to start recruiting until you got everything in place. You should probably do all these at once. When I'm working with a client, we do these in order because I don't want to overwhelm folks. That's one of the problems I have with some of the programs that are out there for company owners, is that to some extent it can be overwhelming. It can be, oh my God, they threw hundreds of ideas at me and I don't know what to do first. And sometimes they're helpful with that. The way I've done it is I just break it down to, hey, do this first, then this in order, and we just put it in place, and it actually goes pretty quick that way. If you want to talk about it, give me a shout either on Facebook Messenger, or you can go ahead and go to my website, tedgravlin.com. There's some buttons you can click to book a free call, or you can, again, follow me on Facebook if you want to get some more free tips like this one, and we'll talk soon.